In this video, we'll be replacing the inner tie rod end on this Ford F-150. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove our front tire. Our vehicle has locks on every lug stud, so we're just going to remove those with the lock key. So now to remove our inner tie rod, we're going to start at our adjustment sleeve here. We're going to loosen up this bolt. It's going to be a 9/16 on front, and we're going to use a 16 on the nut on the back. Now we can move further up to our castle nut. Okay, so at our castle nut, we have a cotter pin. We're going to remove that cotter pin. Make sure you have a new one to go in here and replace with the old one. Your inner tie rod should come with a new cotter pin. Okay, so our castle nut here is going to be 3/4. We'll back that off. Now with your castle nut removed, we need to remove the tie rod end from the passenger side tie rod end. Sometimes you can get in here with the pry bar and pop that end out. Sometimes you can come in here with the hammer on the end and just push it out. So we'll try a little bit of both. Okay, so because we're replacing this, we're going to use a pickle fork to drive out that ball joint end. If you weren't replacing this, you were just doing some work further down line, you want to avoid a pickle fork. It'll do damage to the boot. Alright, so now with a pair of locking pliers and your adjustment sleeve loosened up, we can now back out our inner tie rod. Now the same thing here applies if you were going to do an outer tie rod. You want to count the amount of turns, full rotations that you turn out your inner tie rod. You want to either write that number down or remember it. When we spin in the new one, we're going to spin it into the same amount of rotations you took yours out at. Your number will be different than mine. So now with our new inner tie rod, we're going to take it and thread it in the amount of turns we threaded out. Now for you guys, your number and your rotations will be different, but whatever that number was for you, go ahead and thread it in that amount of turns. And also, try not to cross thread. Now once you have your inner tie rod threaded all the way in to where it needs to go, we will take our castle nut and tie rod end and put it through our passenger side tie rod end. Alright, so our new castle nut is going to be a 21mm. Tighten that down to 65 foot-pounds. And we'll put our new cotter pin in, but because our castle nut isn't actually allowing us through one of those cutaways to put our cotter pin in, we're going to continue to torque it down until we can align the castle nut with that hole. Perfect. And we'll put our new cotter pin in and bend the remaining cotter pin up and over. Then we'll come down our tie rod and we'll tighten our adjusting sleeve. Okay, so now on the inside at our adjustment sleeve, we're going to tighten down this bolt. And we'll torque this down to 55 foot-pounds. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle. Alright, so we've gone ahead and snugged up our lug nuts in a crisscross pattern. When we drop our vehicle down to the ground, we'll torque these down. So now we're going to torque down our lug nuts. We're going to torque them down to 100 foot-pounds. We're going to do it in a crisscross pattern. Now this vehicle has locks on every lug, so looks a little different than normal. And that's it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.